Interesting facts about famous people.
Patriotic American movies. From time to time, the country finds itself in a dark place. One way you can recharge your faith in your country is to plug into some of your favourite patriotic movies, to remind yourself of the possibilities by following stories of fellow patriots and how they overcame forces that tried to bring the country down, stood up and overcame it. If you enjoy this video, hit the notification button to get my new videos. If you want to check out my many other videos, head over to my channel. The link is in the description. Let's get into it. Glory, 1989. An emotionally charged, true story of the first all-black US Army regiment during the Civil War. A great ensemble cast, which includes an Oscar-winning performance by Denzel Washington. The Civil War reenactors who took part in the film did so voluntarily and without pay. Matthew Broderick claimed that the battle scenes didn't require much acting because he was genuinely afraid of the extremely loud explosions on set. Denzel Washington was initially opposed to appearing in the film until he realized it gave him a shot at portraying a fully fleshed out character. The Right Stuff, 1983. This Oscar-winning film portrays the true story of America's first astronauts who paved the way for space exploration by piloting NASA's first manned flights. In the film, Alan Shepard says, "Louise, I'm going to the moon. I swear to God, I'm on my way." Of the Mercury 7, Shepard was the only one that did go there, on Apollo 14, becoming the 5th person to walk on the moon and the only person to ever play golf on the moon in February 1971. Air Force One, 1997. Harrison Ford plays the president in this thriller about the hijacking of Air Force One by a Gary Oldman-led terrorist group while the first family is on board. Initially, director, co-producer Wolfgang Peterson was denied access to the real-life Air Force One. A telephone call from Harrison Ford to the White House soon changed that. The lead role was written for Kevin Costner, but he was heavily committed to The Postman, 1997, and suggested Harrison Ford for the part. Band of Brothers, 2001. While technically a miniseries, this sweeping 10-part story about the achievements of an elite team of US paratroopers is a must-watch for World War II history buffs. Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, and Stephen Ambrose showed each of the scripts around to real-life soldiers of Easy Company to guarantee authenticity. Almost all the main actors were cast because of their close physical resemblance to the real-life soldiers they were portraying. During the boot camp training, Neil McDonough's weapon went off and damaged part of his face. After the wound became infected, he had to be taken to a London hospital at 10 p.m. Not wanting the press to hear about it, he gave his name as Buck Compton. National Treasure, 2004. Nicolas Cage plays Benjamin Franklin Gates, a historian and cryptologist, obsessed with finding the legendary treasure of the Knights Templar. Clues take Ben to US landmarks, where he's followed by a ruthless rival, trying to take the treasure for himself. In the movie, when John Adam Gates is telling young Benjamin Franklin Gates about the treasure, he says, "They knew they had to make sure the treasure would never fall into the hands of the British, so they devised a series of clues and maps to its location." The whole course of the movie involves keeping the clues and treasures away from Ian, who is British. The Patriot, 2000. Few can forget this lengthy tale of a South Carolina farmer who's forced to fight in the American Revolution after his son is captured. Heath Ledger didn't work for a year because he only got offers for teen heartthrob roles. He was about to quit acting and return to Australia when he was cast in the film. Ledger also said researching the American Revolutionary War for the film answered his question of why Americans wave their flag so high. It's because they went to hell and back to build their country. Red Dawn 1984. In this war film that stars Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, Jennifer Grey, and other recognisable 80s actors, a group of Midwestern teens find themselves protecting their town and country from Soviet invasion. 5 of the 36 paratroopers in the beginning of the film got blown as much as a mile off course during filming. One got stuck in a tree and had to convince locals that he wasn't really an enemy soldier. The plot, a Soviet and Cuban invasion from Mexico, was based on CIA and war college studies of US weakness at the time. Patrick Swayze got frostbite during filming. A few years later, he said it still felt like someone shoving toothpicks up his fingernails when it got too cold. The American President, 1995. A political romance meets rom-com. The American President follows Michael Douglas's Andrew Shepard, who is forced to choose between love and a second term as president. Before the movie started shooting, Michael J. Fox was still keeping his Parkinson's disease a secret. He felt he would lose the role if Rob Reiner found out. President Bill Clinton and his staff granted permission for the cast and production design team to visit the White House on 5 occasions. Robert Redford, whose Wildwood Productions co-produced the film, was originally cast in the lead role, but was replaced with Michael Douglas after a falling out with Rob Reiner. Redford, however, remained on board as a producer. Yankee Doodle Dandy, 1942. James Cagney won an Oscar for his performance in Yankee Doodle Dandy. Cagney played composer George M. Cohen, the man behind patriotic classics like the song and You're a Grand Old Flag. This marks the first time a living US president was depicted in a sound film. Walking down the stairs at the White House, James Cagney goes into a tap dance that was completely ad-libbed. According to his biography, the rather stiff-legged dancing style used by James Cagney in this movie is not his own. He copied George M. Cohen's style to make the film more accurate.
For it is Mary.
Saving Private Ryan, 1998. Spoiler, you will ugly cry during Saving Private Ryan. Tom Hanks plays Captain John Miller in the award-winning flick that put the realities of World War II and the bond between soldiers on full display. All the principal actors, except for Matt Damon, underwent several days of grueling army training. Damon was spared so that the other actors would resent him and would convey that feeling in their performances. Steven Spielberg cast Matt Damon as Private Ryan because he wanted an unknown actor with an all-American look. He did not know Damon would win an Oscar for Good Will Hunting, 1997, and became an overnight star before the film was released. Lincoln, 2012. Daniel Day-Lewis stars in the historical drama that follows President Abraham Lincoln and his leadership during the Civil War, as well as the final months of his life. Steven Spielberg spent 12 years researching the film. He recreated Abraham Lincoln's executive mansion office precisely, with the same wallpaper and books Lincoln used. The ticking of Lincoln's watch in the film is the sound of Lincoln's actual pocket watch. Describing his experience playing Abraham Lincoln, Sir Daniel Day-Lewis said, "I never ever felt that depth of love for another human being that I never met, and that's, I think, probably the effect that Lincoln has on most people that take the time to discover him. I wish he stayed with me forever." Top Gun, 1986. Tom Cruise's popular hit about a cocky fighter pilot who tries to prove himself at the Top Gun Naval Fighter Weapons School. When the students are being briefed by Charlie in the hangar, Maverick explains that he gave the bird to a MiG. She asks how he saw the MiG up close, and he says he was flying inverted. Right then, Ice coughs, "Bullshit," and the guys laugh. The bullshit line was ad-libbed by Val Kilmer, and everyone's reactions are genuine. Anthony Edwards is the only actor who didn't vomit while in the fighter jets.
This is a great shot, man. I should be a photographer. Your tail is clear, big one. Look out.
Pearl Harbor, 2001. Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett portrayed two longtime friends turned war pilots who find themselves fighting over a beautiful nurse, Kate Beckinsale. Things turned tragic on the morning of December 7, 1941, when shooting the scene where Rafe, Ben Affleck, and Danny, Josh Hartnett, managed to get off the ground during the attack and are chased by three Japanese Zeros. One of the real planes clipped a palm tree and crashed. The pilot was dazed and suffered only a broken finger. The character portrayed by Cuba Gooding Jr., Dory Miller, was the first African American to be awarded the Navy Cross. Patton, 1970. A retelling of the bold General George Patton's life, won a total of 8 Oscars after its release. George C. Scott won the Academy Award for Best Actor and famously refused to accept it, claiming that the competition between actors was unfair, disliking the Academy's voting process, and called the Academy Awards a big meat parade. Many of the quotes from the opening speech are real quotes from George Patton. However, not all of them were said at one time. Rather, the speech is an assemblage of Patton's moments. Rocky IV, 1985. Rocky, played by Sylvester Stallone, takes on the vicious Russian newcomer Ivan Drago, Dolph Lundgren, in this installment of the popular boxing franchise. During filming, Dolph Lundgren and Carl Weathers really did not get along and got into an altercation. Lundgren threw Weathers into a corner of a boxing ring. After that, Weathers shouted profanities at Lundgren while leaving the ring and announcing he was calling his agent and quitting the movie. Only after Sylvester Stallone forced the two actors to reconcile did the movie continue. This event caused a 4-day work stoppage while Weathers was talked back into the part and Lundgren agreed to tone down his aggressiveness. The Alamo, 1960. In 1836, General Santa Anna and the Mexican Army is sweeping across Texas. To be able to stop him, General Sam Houston needs time to get his main force into shape. To buy that time, he orders Colonel William Travis to defend a small mission on the Mexicans' route at all costs. Travis's small troop is swelled by groups accompanying Jim Bowie and Davy Crockett. But as the situation becomes even more desperate, Travis makes it clear there will be no shame if they leave while they can. John Wayne originally wanted to cast James Arness as Sam Houston. However, Arness did not turn up for an interview with Wayne, so Richard Boone was cast instead. Wayne never really forgave Arness for not showing up. Thank you for your time today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate likes and subscribers. Hit the notification bell to get my new videos. Take a look at my channel. The link is in the description. Bye for now. See you again soon.
Interesting facts about famous people.